Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the refirement zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure, especially when all my stuff works. We're in our Wisconsin studio, everybody. So just FYI, you know how I love talking about tech for a second. You never know when I'm plugging this stuff together if it's actually all going to work. That's part of the whole game of being in media. It's just, you got to roll with it. That's why it's great to have good guests like Brock Fletcher's back for a reality of real estate episode. Because if something breaks, Brock's really cool. And we've had many instances where things got screwed up.
We'll just re-record.
Well, yeah, let's re-record it. Listen, he gets it 30 times he's been on the show, or 28 times or whatever. Last week, Craig Stiles was back where the planning finance goes. Okay. So the whole concept of that is like, as you're doing your retirement zone journey and you've got investments, you need to meet with your people, kind of like meeting with Brock and going over like the year end kind of stuff and moves if you're going to be making, just so you can talk to your expert. It's really, really helpful. Craig Stiles, where the planning financial goes. Where the planning for real estate adventures go, I'm going to call this one micro and macro ideas in real estate with Brock. Is it Halie or Hailey?
Halie.
Halie Friestrom is going to be a guest with us with Brock. I'm going to let Brock do the introduction here. You know, Brock Fletcher, you guys that are watching me on video, I could show you the bio that I've had for the last, 10 years. It's ancient. Brock is, according to this, when we first started, he was 40. Okay.
Oh, I'm 49 now.
Yeah. See, there you go. You know, been doing this for married, still got Katie around. Jenna's around. He's from Eaton Rapids. All these things are still the same. He's been around, knows Scott Warner real well because he helps everybody. And he's just really well known. He's been involved in real estate and vacant land purchases for, according to this, the old version, Brock, was like 13 years. Now I know it's like 25 years.
22.
So it's
22 years.
There you go. 22.
Real estate sales, yeah.
I'm changing my note again. So there you go, Brock Fletcher. We've done 28 episodes of this radio program with Brock, and it's always a blast. And this is so important, the micro and macro ideas of real estate. But before we go there, as always, this is your life. Brock and his niece, Hailey, are here. And so I'm going to let Brock get warmed up and get Hailey warmed up, and let's roll here. Hi, Brock. How are you?
I'm great. And thanks for having me on. And thank you to Sandy as well.
Oh, you're welcome. Always. You know, you're part of the family. Hailey, you're welcome. Now Hailey's part of our family too. You know, when you're on the radio show, Hailey, you're part of the family. So welcome to the show, Hailey.
Thank you.
Okay. So Brock, you want to do the catch up on Jenna and everything, just kind of say what's going on and then introduce your niece?
Yeah, absolutely. So Jenna graduated in December with her master's in speech pathology. She's back here in Lansing, just moved back last week, which is awesome. It's great to have her back 15 minutes, from us. She's got a great job with a company called Centered Care here in mid-Michigan, providing speech therapy services. And it's a great job, great company. They really love her there. And it's just so cool, to have your child, at the ripe old age of, 23, just hitting on all cylinders, basically. And then Hailey, who's working with me this summer, is not my youngest niece, but she's one of my younger nieces. And I'm honored to have her. She's a really hard worker, go-getter. She's been cheering. She's really good at cheer, really good tumbler. I would say she's an elite level type athlete and carries that elite athlete mentality even into work. She's very highly driven. And she asked if she could work with me. And I said, yeah, I'd love to have you. And it's been a couple weeks so far, but she's absolutely crushing it. And she's, her capabilities are way beyond her age of 16. So
that's
really, really proud.
Hailey, how does that feel when you hear your uncle talking about you like that? I mean, go ahead, talk about yourself a little bit, blow it up.
Yeah, it feels really nice actually to be talked about like that. And have someone like put so much trust in you and like talk about you so highly. But yeah, and he's very right about like all the cheer stuff, pretty elite in that aspect. And yeah, I kind of bring that into all aspects of my life.
So, the thing, we talk about athletics all the time on this radio program, Hailey. Brock and I are huge sports fans, as you know. At least Brock is. And I have interviewed many, many students. And so Brock knows that I love interviewing the younger people because it's like, okay, well, what put you in this position? So I'm going to ask you the question I've asked many of the students that I interview is like, how has your athleticism helped you in your life, period, just in general?
Yeah, so I've been in cheer for about I would say 11 years now since I was really little. And throughout that, I've learned a lot of how to work with the team and how to communicate. And it's definitely taught me how to be focus on what I want and how to get where I want to meet my goals and stuff. And I think that really helps in school, work, being friends with people, working in teams, communicating, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's just taught me a lot, I feel like.
What about working with your uncle now? What is your job going to be this summer? What is your goal to work with Uncle Brock?
So right now I'm just kind of helping out with littler things, so researching properties, and I've gone to a lot of meetings and listing appointments and stuff with him so far. And yeah, so I feel like that cheer kind of the hard work and all the communicating and stuff, the people talking, social skills, stuff like that, will kind of carry into that this summer. And yeah, I kind of hope to see if this is really what I want to do and continue this into the future. Excellent
answer. And you know what, these interpersonal skills that you young people develop, doing this kind of work with a guy like a Brock is absolutely going to put you at the top of your class for sure. Because this is no slam on young people whatsoever, because I have children as well and grandchildren. It's you guys are so on the device, the handheld, and it's it's okay, it's great, it's nice that you have the tech. But if you've got the skill set that you're learning with your Uncle Brock this summer, these are things that you're going to stick with you and transfer throughout your life forever. So Brock, we got a couple minutes to go before we go to break here. The world is in a changing place as usual.
Yeah.
And I've been talking about the micro and macro ideas of real estate, and I've got just a couple of articles I'm going to push with you, but it's we got to get these first time buyers in. So let's talk about the micro and macro, just setting up the idea of this and bringing in your young people to help you with this. You're walking your walk, Brock, and I appreciate what you do. So let's talk about micro and macro ideas, just kind of setting it up. What are you thinking about the market in the next few months?
Well, so we're still dealing with low inventory, but from a micro market, and what I hear there is local meaning micro. The challenges is that we have here are low inventory and more buyers than there are basically properties to buy. But on a local level, there's a lot of governmental assistance, down payment assistance to help drive that ability. To be honest, the time frame, it's always taken 8 to 12 weeks for buyers to find their home to purchase. That's still the same. It just people feel differently about it, but it's taking the same amount of time. So I actually think the larger concern as it pertains to first time home buyers is just the fact that we're launching adults later. We're no longer launching people at 18. We're launching people at 25 and 26, and then wondering why it's taking 6 or 7 years or more for them to be ready for home ownership. If there was just a law that the day you turned 18, you had to move out and get a full-time job, we would have people buying homes by their 30th birthday. If that was just the law, people would figure it out. We're not requiring anybody to figure life out until they're 25 now.
Well, that's just the way it's going. And Brock, I'm going to take this through the break here because we're going to come up on break. Brock Fletcher's with me along with Halie Friestrom, his niece, junior from Grand Ledge High School, talking micro and macro ideas in the real estate industry and other ideas too, everybody. We want to keep you pumped up and want you to understand it. If you need somebody with quality, do like Sandy and I did, get a hold of Brock, Mikey, the whole crew. They'll take care of business. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you to Sandy for bringing us back and that little bumper that she does. It's the only time you'll ever hear her voice on radio. Guaranteed. Positively guaranteed. Mitch, thank you for what you're doing. Vanessa, thank you for what you're doing. And thank you to our guests, especially Brock Fletcher, who is our sponsor of this radio program, has been for a long time. And he's a great friend. He's like part of the family. He's got his niece, Halie Friestrom, with us today. She's a junior at Grand Ledge High School. See, that's the whole thing. We want to promote young people figuring it out. And we got to give people opportunities. I mean, it's like, let's teach up. If we don't help our young people, then we are falling. And I've written about this in my books, you guys. You know, I've talked about the trap door that we have as parents, and we just say, hey, you're 18 years old. Go ahead and figure it out now. Okay. And it just doesn't work that way. And Brock and I were just talking about this during break a little bit about not moving out till you're 25 or so, getting ready, or that's okay. It's fine. There's no set way. I mean, the world changes constantly. I want to remind everybody that this segment is sponsored by Brock, and Brock is our guest today. Keller Williams Realty. Trust is our middle name. You guys have heard me tell the story 100 times about Little House Lansing, Big House Holt, Brock and I meeting, Brock giving me the lowdown on, we're going to have to sell our forever home that we built from dirt. And it's like, that was not a fun conversation with Sandy, but you know what? He was right on point. And sometimes you got to have tough conversations with people. And that's why you go to the pros like Brock. Now, Brock Fletcher, again, Trust, middle name. Call these numbers. First one, 517-853-6408. 853-6408. That's the office number. 517-303. This is the cell phone number to Brock's pocket. This is the one you really want to write on the dash, right? Okay. Put this down somewhere. 517-303-3262. 517-303-3262. Go online to kwsellingteam.com. Sweet website. Sell your home without hassles like we did. Buy your home without hassles like we did. Thanks to Mikey Deadman. Stud. Love that guy. So great. Awesome. When you got a good team, and that's the thing about Brock's team, they don't cannibalize each other's work. They are a team. They are a true team. Brock's an athlete, former athlete, consistently building this. It's like, listen, everybody's got their role and we all help each other. That's the way it goes. Lastly, I want to say thank you and hello to Joan Wright of Williamston. Once Brock told me about her listening to us on WKR on Sundays. Joan, welcome to the show. We'll get you on sometime. Today, micro ideas in real estate with Brock Fletcher, and our little side guest, Halie Friestrom's with us. Nice to see Halie on our video side of things. She's an athlete at Grand Ledge High School. She's going to be a junior this year. I'm going to start with this article, Brock, that and I want to get Haley's impression too. The Great American, this is from yesterday, everybody, from the Wall Street Journal. The Great American Housing Shortage is finally forcing a search for solutions. Really? We've been talking about this for how long, Brock? Like 6-7 years now? Okay, so I'm just going to give the points here, and I want Brock to give his rebuttal on all this because he's our subject matter expert. Brock, the first point that they had, and this is on the macro side, as we're calling this the macro and micro ideas of this radio program for Reality Real Estate, rethinking zoning laws and red tape. Okay, can you please decipher that for us unknowing people, please?
Yeah, what they're basically talking about there is lessening up rules regarding zoning and square footage to make it easier to solve the housing. So here's one of the things that you can't currently do in Michigan, but you can do it in Austin, Texas, right? So having a secondary residence on the same property, it's very popular in Austin, Texas to have a small, 1-bedroom apartment in your backyard for a parent. You can't do that in Michigan currently. You can only have one dwelling per tax ID number, meaning per parcel. The other thing is, in most cases, the smallest home that you can put on a piece of property in Michigan is 800 square feet. So that eliminates, tiny houses have been popular for a long time. You can't put a tiny house on a property in Michigan unless they lower the square footage requirements to, 200 or 300 square feet. So those are the kind of restrictions they're talking about changing in order to meet housing demand, essentially. So,
Halie, what do you think about the little house concept that Brock was just mentioning and the zoning thing? Because that's kind of where they're going with all this. What's your take as a as a high schooler coming up and soon to be college student?
Yeah, so I actually didn't know about this law, but I've seen on social media and stuff, everyone like showing their tiny houses and doing tours and stuff. And I used to watch them when I was little, like the house tours. And I always thought it was really cool, but I didn't even know about this law. But I have a lake house on Lake Isabella up by Mount Pleasant, and a lot of the houses have like tiny guest houses and stuff like that. And so I never realized like that was a law or anything.
What do you think about it? Do you think the law should be changed? Do you think it should be modified? What do you think? Because there's a lot of problems with young people getting into their first homes.
Yeah, so I think that I'd have to like figure out more about the law to really say too much about it. But I mean, I feel like I wouldn't understand why someone wouldn't be able to have a house until like another little house like on their property. But I also might just not know like the logistics of it and like why it is like that.
Brock, I have to give her credit. That was a really good non-answer.
Very thoughtful answer.
Yeah, because you know what, Hailey, if you don't know the answer, don't BS your way through it. Just say, I don't really know the answer, just like you just did. It was perfect. I don't really know, but I'm curious about it. So that was a great answer. See, Brock, you got a sharp one coming up with you. So, Brock,
I agree.
Well, I'm just wondering now, Brock, I just carry this through because I got about 2 minutes to go in this segment. But it's like, well, what prevents people from, okay, so we got homeless encampments all over the place, all over the country. People having a tent, they're putting a tent up on a sidewalk. I mean, so you're saying in Michigan, you can't put a little small apartment house in the backyard if you had the space, you're not allowed to do that, correct?
Not in most locations. Yeah. Like Hailey had mentioned on a lake, like a lot of people by our lake house, they'll have like a little bunk house with a couple of bunk beds. Not typically a bathroom or anything like that, but just like a little bunk house or whatever. But yeah, for like City of Lansing, you couldn't do that. There's no legislation that makes that allowable. So I think we're going to see that more and more. The main point speaking against tiny houses, though, more so the tiny house argument, is that it will negatively affect housing values.
Right. And do you think that's true, Brock?
No, I don't. I don't think no.
I think it could be an actual a asset to home values.
I don't think it'll be. I think it'll have no impact. But obviously the projects have to be nice. I mean, it needs to be a nice project. Financing is going to be a little tricky in the beginning because there's not enough data for like appraisals. It will have to be probably governmental backed financing and things to like smooth out some rough edges. But in terms of like auxiliary housing in people's backyards and stuff, I think it's a great idea because we're more and more going to to multi-generational living situations, especially because the cost of nursing homes and things of that nature are astronomical. So we've got some other long-term problems that are going to be contributing factors here, and so like $10,000 a month for an assisted living is not workable for most families.
Brock's here. Halie Friestrom's here with us. She's a junior from Grand Ledge. She's Brock's niece. She's working with Brock this summer. She's getting experience. And it's like, you got to learn how to do this stuff and get up and go to work and have meetings. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of The Tom Matt Show. Last week, remember, Craig Stiles was with us. Where the planning financial goes, check that one out. Craig's awesome. Brock's with us. This is one of my favorite spots in a radio show where I get to do testimonials for Brock. And I was asking Brock pre-production. I said, "Do you ever hear anybody say anything about these?" Because I kind of gush a little bit. Well, I mean, I'm honest about the way we feel about Brock Fletcher and the team and how much they've helped us. I mean, when people impact your life and they really care about you and they help you and they're honest, why can't you love them? I mean, it's like, that's what all these testimonials are about. Okay. This one's from Eric and Laura. And you know what? If I read these things multiple times, good for you, just because they're good testimonials. This one's from Eric and Laura. I'm going to do two today. Our experience with Brock Fletcher and the selling team, these are all big print, was amazing, bold type. Numerous times Brock Fletcher went above and beyond, bold type, to ensure our needs were met. He did it for us twice. Not only did the selling team sell our home in 4 days, what took you so long? They also helped us find our dream home in a weekend. Again, what took you so long? So glad we chose the selling team, Eric and Laura from Lansing, Michigan. And of course, I'm being complete. I'm joking here when it talks. That's what happens with Brock and the team because they're very organized. Another one from Becky from East Lansing. We were always kept in the loop when new properties became available. We found the information provided was very accurate, bold type, and helpful, bold type, in continuing the process of making an informed decision for purchasing vacant property. That's the other thing about Brock. We're talking tiny homes. We're talking all kinds of stuff. We're talking ideas. We're talking concepts. We're talking, let's talk real estate. Let's be thinking outside of the box, not inside the box. Oh, I can't do that because it's so expensive or interest rates are so high. I can't. Stop. Get with good people. They will help coach you up and you can pull this. You're listening to a guy who never thought we could ever pull this off. And here we go. Phone numbers, 517-853-6408. Or the super secret, not so super secret, cell phone number to Brock, 517-303-3262. He will return your call the same day that you get a hold of him. All right, back to the show, talking micro and macro ideas in real estate. I'm going to switch gears here and go with a little bit of a micro. And this one I'm going to throw it to Halie because Halie Friestrom is with us today. She's a junior at Grand Ledge High School. She's Brock's niece, and she's working with Brock this summer, and good for you. These are kind of the micro ideas, Halie and Brock. And of course, this is an article that I found from the State Journal recently. What is, in your mind, Halie, what is a starter home?
I would say a starter home is something that you get like earlier on in your life, like after college maybe, or like during college. And it's just like a simple home, not too much, not like all the extra stuff like gyms and, like maybe 1-2 bedrooms, a bathroom, just like the main things in a house that just like to live, basically, like a livable home.
What do you think, Brock? Was that a good answer?
I think it's a great answer. Yeah.
The thing is, and I see, because I'm on social media so much, Halie, Brock, but Halie, I see all the time where they do these little social media interviews on the sidewalk or wherever, and they're interviewing young people. And they'll put a microphone in front of your face, and you're down in Florida, might have had a couple of cocktails, although you're too young for that right now. But, they put the microphone in front of people's faces and they ask them like these goofy questions. Like, for example, what is a good average income for your future husband, Halie? And they come up with these crazy answers. And it's like, your answer here was spot on. It was really down to earth. I mean, for real. Because some of these answers you get from young people, it's like, oh yeah, my husband's going to make $800,000 a year, and he's going to drive a Lamborghini. He's going to be 6'7" and play for the Pistons. Yeah. So good answer on that.
Thank you.
Brock, how do we help our young people with the starter homes ideas? Because we've been talking about this. Is it just to set the expectations like in a real spot?
Yeah, I do. I think that's it. Even with our, and we raised our daughter Jenna to be, financially very responsible. But we also had clear conversations that like Katie and I's our success is our success, right? And she's got to create her own success, right? And setting expectations that adulthood is difficult. You're going to have to do meaningful work. You're going to have to make a good living if you want to have a great life. And people don't typically start their first home being, a $500,000 home. My first home was a 1,200 square foot home in Lansing, which by the way, right now that would be like 180, but I bought that home 20 years ago. And I paid about $80,000 for it, but I made half as much money. So like, I don't buy the story that buying your first home is completely unaffordable. The wage scale is much higher.
Well, the thing is we have to educate people on why and how they can get into the market. Now, Halie, do you have any idea? I mean, I know you're a junior in high school, Grand Ledge High School, Halie Friestrom. What do you think average rent do you have any idea for young people how much they're paying? And she's smiling as I'm looking at the video. So you guys on radio, sorry about that. But how much are young people paying in rent? And how do you feel about that?
So obviously I've never owned a house or anything or had to pay any rent myself. But I mean, from what I've heard so far, or what I know, is like my parents, like they probably pay a little bit more because, we have quite a nice house. But ours is like maybe $2,000 or something like that a month.
What do you think you're going to pay in college for your rent for your apartment or your dorm? Any idea?
I think maybe like $1,000 to $2,000, somewhere between there.
Okay, so you're semi close. The point that we're making here, and you see where we're going, it's expensive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to have your brain in the right spot. So if you rent, and you know the difference between the concept of renting and owning, right? I mean, you're working for real estate, so it's like renting is, in your opinion, Brock, what is renting?
Well, so it's a good idea up until the point that you're going to be in an area for at least 5 years, right? It just doesn't make sense to own a home if you're not going to live someplace for 5 years. But initially, it's a necessity. But there is a point in life, if you have a long-term career type job and you're going to be committed to that area for at least 5 years, then if you're paying rent still at that point, then you're simply stealing money from your retirement.
There you go.
Because most people, when they get to retirement age, and typically they're going to own that home free and clear by the time they're retired, they're relying on that home to provide part of their retirement income.
So there's a good explanation on why and how. Again, rent is a tool. It's buying, and money is all about manipulation and making the right moves, right, Brock? I mean, it's all about not overextending yourself, really thinking about return on investment. Brock, I just had this conversation with my grandson the other day. He's 10 years old. And I said, I'm going to teach you an acronym, which he hates learning from me in the summertime. He said, Papa, it's summer. I don't want to think. I'm like, well, you're going to think now. Okay. But I talked to him about return on investment. And we were talking about food costs because he's all about, because we're at all these ballparks all summer long with all these games all over the place. And it's like, these kids are like money pit. They're money vacuums on their parents buying all this concession stuff. I said, do you know what return on investment is? And he said, no. So I taught him that. Hailey, do you know what ROI, return on investment is?
No clue.
Okay. Hold that thought. Because when we come back, I'm going to have Uncle Brock go into it and kind of talk about in real estate and life, all of these things, this return on investment, because you've already been doing investing in yourself for a long time. You just didn't know that there was this term called ROI, but I'll carry this thing through again. Micro and macro ideas, plus picking young people's brains. Brock and I love doing this kind of stuff. We love tag teaming and asking the young people ideas and picking, because we learn from you guys, Hailey. If we don't ask you questions and ask you how you're doing, how the heck are we going to know what the heck's going on? That's the bottom line here. You're listening to a special episode of The Tom Matt Show with Brock Fletcher and Halie Friestrom. We'll be right back.
This segment of The Tom Matt Show is brought to you in part by The Source of Light and Power by band leader Archival and broadcaster Mitch Anderson. Hear the sound that is endorsed by Odyssey headphones, linear tube audio, RME converters, and Peluso microphones at sourceoflightandpower.bandcamp.com.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Tom Matt Show. Throwing out my strange voice there. Brock's with us. Brought his niece. She's awesome. Halie Friestrom's here, junior from Grand Ledge High School. Another thing I like about kids like Hailey, she's an athlete. Athletes in my book, they rate. They just do. I mean, because they put in a lot of time and effort and energy. And I'm not begrudging any of the kids that are out there doing their performing arts or anything. If you have external activities, great, good, do more of them. Put down the phone and the iPad and go out and like shoot hoops and run in the street and dink around, ride bikes, have fun. Brock, got to get all the contact info, website, phone numbers, people, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, easiest way to get a hold of me still to this day, call me on my cell phone or text me It's 517-303-3262. If you're not looking for, if you're a little introverted and you just want to try to reach out, email them is fine. Brock at kwsellingteam.com. Really simple, Brock at kwsellingteam.com. And you can also message me through the website, but I get it. Everybody's got their own personality style. I'm a talker. Call me, text me, email me. So yeah, I'm always here to answer questions. I get people that contact me from all over the state. Even if I can't help you specifically in a transaction, I can help you with your situation, and I can get you in touch with a good agent in that area if need be. So
Brock's the man. He helped us before we even knew who we didn't even know each other. We first crossed paths. I've told that story a bunch of times. And so, all right, we're going to talk about this little acronym, ROI. Okay, Brock, you want to introduce your niece to the term ROI and how it relates to her and everything that she's been doing and she doesn't even know it?
Yeah, I mean, return on investment. I mean, we think of it most notably about money, but it's about everything. It's anytime you spend a minute or an hour doing anything, that time is worth something, right? And what we're really talking about is what do you get out of return or in return for the time spent? So when Haley's doing cheer and she's improving her skills, she's getting something out of it. And obviously, what she's getting out of it internally causes her to feel good about the time being spent. Otherwise, she wouldn't do it. If it didn't bring enjoyment, if it didn't bring pleasure, if it didn't bring her something positive, she wouldn't do it. The way I look at it is my time is worth a certain amount at work. So I want to spend all of my time at work doing things that give me a good return on investment. I'm pretty highly leveraged, meaning I have a lot of help with my daily work. Some of the research work in file setup and research and things that Haley's doing for me are things that are important, but I have other tasks that are more important that I must be doing, and I'm getting a higher return on investment. And like even at home, like I'm busy enough now in life where like it doesn't make sense for me to mow my lawn, right? Like the time is more valuable spent either in quality time with my wife or daughter or Hailey or another family member. And I can get a higher return if I'm paying somebody else to mow my lawn, right? Unless I'm doing it out of pure enjoyment.
Unless you're getting like your exercise out of it or there's some other extenuating circumstance with your mowing your lawn, you're right on, Brock.
Yeah. So it's, and from, like an advertising standpoint, like, what you spend, if you spend $1, you want to get $2 or $3 in return for that dollar spent.
That's the whole point of our sponsorship and our friendship together doing this. If I can't provide some type of return on investment to Brock, you see where we're going, Hailey, how this all works. And so your cheer is helping build your self-esteem, your confidence, and your leadership ability. And being a leader is huge. And it's so cool that Brock invited you on in this recording session, because I love having young people on just to help you inspire other young people, because there's a lot of people who don't want to come on this radio because they're afraid or they're this or that. And I don't know about all that. Yeah. All right, let's get back to the micro and macro ideas. That was a good explanation though. Hailey, do you get the return on investment and you see how much it impacts your life?
Yes, I do.
So that's good. Okay, so let's get back to the article here, because I've got two articles that I'm pulling from everybody. The Great American Housing Shortage is finally forcing a search for solutions. The first point of this, and this is on the macro side, the big side of things, rethinking zoning laws and red tape. Brock and Hailey talked about that. The next one, cheaper construction loans. Now, Brock, when we get into the money aspect of this, and again, that's a huge macro, because there's so many inputs that go into new housing. But cheaper construction loans, would that make a big difference?
I mean, it would make a difference, certainly, because the interest component of a loan makes up a tremendous amount, over time, over 30 years or whatever that would be. That could be a good idea. Again, like Hailey answered earlier, I'd have to really analyze the product to see the benefit. But the cost of building, the material cost, is not likely going to go down, because the material inputs are so expensive. So like the only real variable that the government could control is the interest rate component. Like that would have to be heavily subsidized by the government, because the private market, what drives interest rates is consumer demand for the product. So like I'm not gonna back, just like if I'm looking for an investment, I'm not going to buy an investment that only returns a 1 or 2 or 3% yield. That doesn't make any sense. So that the government would have to provide the backing for that.
The extra incentive for them, the extra return on investment
For sure.
when people are putting up millions of dollars. Okay, so what about cheaper interest rates for the consumer? Now, we have talked about this many times on the show, and where are we at? This on your prognostication. This is not a first of the year show like we do all the time, and you give your prognostication. But with the change with the Iran thing, and supposedly that's all kind of be settled and all this, where do you, just looking in the crystal ball here about the cost of money, where do you think it's going for loans for individuals? Do you have any idea?
I was thinking we were going to settle out around 5% by the end of the year, in terms of like the 30-year fixed interest rate. We have had no movement whatsoever because of the conflict in Iran. I don't know. I don't know if we're officially done with that. It's
right.
It's too hard to say. My guess is no. My guess is there's not going to be a big change on interest rates because of uncertainty, within the market. And so I would say probably most likely no change. But if it is going to go down, it's probably not going to go down less than 5%. I don't think we'll see that this year. I'd be really surprised.
Hailey, have your parents talked to you about the power of having good credit and what interest rates are all about? Have you had that conversation in school or with any of your friends or your parents by any chance?
So I've definitely heard about it. I don't know a lot about it, but I know it's good to have good credit and you want to gain like your credit score and stuff like that. But I do think that I wish like school talked about it more and like they talked about more real world skills. I actually wrote an essay about that this year for my English class. But
That's cool.
It's definitely something I wish that they like talked more about.
I'd like to come back and talk more about your essay, or at least see it sometime. Maybe you can send it to me because I love reading stuff like that. But that's good that you're on the front end of that, because interest rates determine your cost. And if your interest rate goes up, then your house payment or your rent payment or however you want to, your car payment, any payment that you're carrying interest on, a loan, you're going to pay more. So if your interest rate is 10% on a house, you're paying 10% of that, and it's staggered. So it's interesting how that all works, right, Brock? Interest rates carry a huge variable. But I just heard something, Brock. I need a quick answer on this because we got about a minute to go here. But I heard something on the radio here in Wisconsin. They're talking about, so what if interest rates go up? Housing values are always going to go up. So don't wait. Well,
that's true. Yeah. It's built. Real estate values are built to go up 4 or 5% a year. So by waiting, you're just waiting for prices to go up. So yeah.
So the waiting game that you have, everybody, and if you're kind of out there and you're kind of trepidatious about all this, it's like, wait a second here. If you find something that you like, talk to Brock, talk to the experts. You might be on your best spot. Your timing might be right now. Hard to say. It's really hard to say. Let me reset all this. We got a final segment coming up here. Micro and macro ideas in real estate. And then we're talking about young people and encouraging first-time buyers. And we have Halie Friestrom here, a junior from Grand Ledge High School, Brock's niece, and she's a very active athlete at Grand Ledge High School. Good school, really good school in mid-Michigan. And for her to come on at her age, to come on this radio show, put her face in front of the camera, record a radio program, takes a lot of guts, because a lot of kids would not do this. A lot of adults won't do this. And I have to give you credit for that. Micro and macro real estate ideas. Halie Friestrom and her guest, Brock Fletcher. This is the Tom Match.
Thank you again to Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Match Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. If you're listening to us, if you hear us right now, you're either listening to a couple of the radio stations that carry the fifth segment. Thank you for doing that. Or you're listening to the podcast. Thank you for doing that. Or you're watching the video podcast, and thank you for doing that. But most of the radio stations do not get the fifth segment. And the fifth segment is usually when we have some of our best comments, best topics. Micro and macro real estate ideas with Brock Fletcher and his niece, Halie Friestrom, junior, Grand Ledge High School. During break, you guys know how I'm such a honk for higher ed. I'm a huge honk for higher ed. However, again, return on investment, we talked about that earlier with Hailey, and now she knows the whole concept. Is the return on investment for higher ed post-high school worth it? And so, Brock, let's shift gears just a tiny bit here because you're in the mode of looking for people. Mm-hmm. I've sent a couple of people over to you. If they work out, great. If they don't work out, fine. I mean, you would know better than I would, of course. You know what you need to do. But let's talk about, we'll use Hailey as an example. Hailey's a up-and-coming junior at Grand Ledge High School. If she decided that she was like, I don't really have a program that lights my fire in college, and why do I want to spend all this money in the next 5 years working on something I'm not quite sure about? Maybe it's better to get into a field right out of high school where I can start making money. Brock, we've talked about this before in recruiting young people. What could we do with a person like a Hailey? Let's use Hailey as an example. Please go right ahead, Brock.
Yeah. I mean, Hailey will be eligible to take the real estate course and have a license at the age of 18. If she was to work with me, this summer and next summer, I could have her ready to where she would be skilled enough to do a real estate transaction and serve clients at a high well by her first day of having a license. And, the way I look at it, if you go to college for 4 years, you're going to have minimum 150,000 wrapped into it, right? I can take a young person like Hailey, graduates high school, get them licensed, probably going to make 20 or 30 grand year one, probably going to make 30 or 40 or 50 grand year two, probably by the fourth year, 90 to 100,000. So like if you're going to college and you're taking on student loans, you're going to have 100 to 150 grand student loan debt. I can take a young person, no debt, right? Expert level education, like an apprenticeship, teach them. I mean, they've got to know they're all in on real estate because it's not a sexy, thing. Like it's just a lot of hard work. Real estate, the work of real estate in itself is not that exciting. You better have a high passion for serving people because that's really what it's about. But long story short, I can take somebody like Hailey and it doesn't cost them money. They're not going to make $1 million a year right out of the gate, but by their fourth or fifth year, for sure going to be a 6-figure income. And like I joked with Hailey, like I've always wanted to make $1 millionaire in 10 years. Like my goal for Hailey would be she's a millionaire, net worth millionaire by her 28th birthday. I'm pretty sure I can do it. I've never done it before, but I've never had somebody that would be so willing to let me coach them and mentor them for for like a whole decade. But like, even if she wasn't a millionaire by her 28th birthday, by her 30th birthday, she for sure would. We just got her signed up for a Roth IRA. So like we're starting like, nobody becomes successful without somebody else like being their champion, right? Like, so I do that for a lot of people, but that relationship of mentor, mentee, both people have to be like all in on it, right? So, but I'm always amazed at the relationships and the mentorship. Like I've been mentored by some great people, like just far beyond like my wildest expectations. But the only way to get those types of relationships is to foster yourself into the kind of person that people want to mentor. And you got to want to mentor people. So I have a high desire to help people win in life. So I want Hailey to call me when she's 50 and say, Uncle Brock, you're the greatest single influence next to Jesus Christ and helping me become successful. That would be a win for me.
I think she's going to call you at about 25 when she's making 100 grand a year. That's what I'm saying. This girl's 16 years old and she's about ready she's looking at a career where, maybe I can go do this and I can learn this. And you can still take classes and you can it doesn't mean you don't have to go to college. You can still take training classes galore. I mean, one thing I learned when I finished my graduate program was I wanted to learn how to do video, Hailey. So I went to YouTube University. I got on my laptop and I just started watching YouTube videos, and I watched and I copied and watched. And there's so much opportunity to learn out there. So how do you feel? How does it make you feel when you think about at the point in your life right now, Hailey, that you could potentially in 5 years be making $100,000 a year?
Well, I mean, it feels really nice. And also knowing that Brock is here to mentor me and like help me get there. Ever since I was like little, I've always like wanted to be very like successful and not worry about money, not worry about all that kind of stuff. So knowing that that could be potentially my future would be really great, actually.
With great wealth comes great responsibilities.
And I was joking earlier, like, I don't really, like, I'm not an egomaniac. I don't need Hailey to call me when she's 50. But the point I was making is I want to help people become successful.
Oh, no, I agree. I mean, I remember I sent Kamani to you. Kamani Williams is one of my kids that I know from MSU, and I sent him to Brock. And I talked to Kamani recently, and I said, how's it going with Brock? He says, Brock talked to me, and he listened to everything I was saying. And he said, you need more of a mentor than the training at the moment, and that you were going to help him on some other aspects. That's great, because you just don't know where these kids are yet. And he's kind of in a space where he's got a new fiance, and they're kind of like in this space. Good for you. Same thing with Hailey. Hailey, going to school is great, but being financially independent is wonderful. And believe me, you're going to like it. Your mom and dad are going to love it. They are going to love it when you are successful and doing your thing. Nothing makes us prouder than us being surrogate parents to you and all of the other kids and watching our kids do well. So I wish you the best on all of that. Okay, I got to get back to this article here because I want to get one more in here. Let's see. Now, I pulled an article, you guys, and I called this from the episode title for today, Micro and Macro Ideas in Real Estate. And one of the reasons I came up with this was this article in the Wall Street Journal recently. The great American housing shortage is finally forcing a search for solutions. And we've been talking about this a little bit, rethinking zoning laws and red tape. The next one was cheaper construction loans. How about this one, Brock? This one I wasn't too sure of, and I wanted to get your point. I just do take a couple minutes to talk about this, but it said modular construction. And I was like, so it's kind of a prefab, partially prefab. They make part of the house or the apartment building or something, then they bring it to the site and they sort of assemble things. What do you think about that concept?
The quality's come a long way on that stuff. It's just, you see that a lot, especially like in manufactured home type communities. What you don't see as much, it's a less fluid process to actually like do a manufactured or a modular home on owned land. Because you're not working with a traditional builder in that capacity. You're working with a sales rep who sells modular manufacturer. We really would have to dispel the negative connotations with that. I think we should, by the way. The modular construction has come a really long way. I think it's time that we strip away some of the negative connotations regarding manufactured and modular housing and see it as a very viable solution. Even the cost on that is relatively expensive, though. So it's just one of those things where the solution to the shortage is a lot of things, and it's going to require some really great leaders to push that forward, right? I mean, that's, I'm not picking on anybody here. I'm not picking on either political party, but we got a real shortage of leaders. From a political standpoint, we've built this system where this is not about either party, so nobody should hear it this way. We don't get the best leaders at the upper echelon of the government. They're mean to each other, so good people don't want to participate in that. So we just get a lot of riffraff, right? That's the bottom line. So,
or you get people with agendas that they just want to match their own agenda.
I don't want to go. I would never run for office. I don't want to be torn down, right? If I can't build it from where I'm at, then I'm not gonna. But bottom line is, we've got to get top end leadership that can actually get these jobs done. We just don't have it. I'm just going to be honest. We need better from our government.
Absolutely.
Period.
We're almost out of time here, you guys, and I want to get a takeaway from Halie. Halie, I usually do a takeaway at the end of the show. You got a minute or so. What would you like to share with your friends, people that are out there from your experience here, and or what you're learning with your Uncle Brock? Please go ahead. Take a second and just let her fly.
I would say that it's just really nice to be able to think about my future in like a good way and like know that if I did continue down this path, like I would be successful. And I feel like Brock's talked a lot about like when he was little, he knew like he wanted to be successful, and that's what really like got him to where he is right now. And I feel like that's just like a really good way to think about it. And it just shows that if you like put the hard work in and you put dedication into what you do, then you'll come out successful.
What do you think about that, Brock?
Yeah, it's true. She's got a great future. She's going to be very successful.
She's going to have a future in radio, real estate, whatever the heck she wants to do. Here's the whole thing, you guys. Be brave and try new things. She didn't know until an hour ago that she was going to do this radio program. And I was like, here you go. If she'd have had more time to think about it, she might not have done it. I'm going to wrap this bad boy, though. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you through our guests like a Brock Fletcher, topics, issues. Please let us know. We have some available sponsorship slots available, but there's got to be a fit. Let us know. Hit the website. If you miss any portion of the show, podcasts are always available on our website, tommattshow.com. Of course, it's loaded over there. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Thanks again to Brock Fletcher and Halie Friestrom for being with us. Sandy, you're the best. Mitch, Vanessa, thank you all for what you do. Remember, the Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great week. Go out and ignite your life. We are out.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music from the Source of Light and Power by the Ark of All.